Hello again to all of you, my wonderful listeners, and welcome back to Never Thirst Again. I'm your podcast host, Chrissy Smith, and as usual, I am very excited that you decided to join me on today. Now, before we jump right on in there, of course, I want to make it known that you can absolutely subscribe to Never Thirst Again via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a host of other platforms that will be listed in the description of this episode. But not only that, if you visit me at www.neverthirstagain.net, on there you will see that is a site for housing all of my stuff, my blog, my podcast episodes, and even if you'd like to reach out to me directly, there is also a space for that. Now, let's get started. I want to first of all just start by really talking about something very serious. And I wanted to have this conversation because I do realize that sometimes things can happen. We might have certain experiences or even certain relationships that can make us feel damaged, right? I will say this. I was talking to a friend of mine a few years ago, and we were having this conversation just about when you feel as if you're not worthy or you feel like you're not enough. Well, in her eyes, she still thought of herself as damaged goods. And the reason she thought about herself that way was because she had a child and she was not married to the child's father. And I know what you're thinking. It's past the 1940s, 1950s, and this is something that happens all the time. But in all honesty, this is something that's been happening since the beginning of time, right? But what I love about God is that He recognizes that even though we might make mistakes, whether they are moral ones or spiritual ones or even ethical ones, He does not hold those things against us when we come to Him and we ask for forgiveness. In other words, when we repent, and also when we recognize, when we understand just how much He really, and I mean how much He really loves us. It takes us to a new place of understanding that, guess what? We still have value. We still have something to offer. So even though you might think of yourself as damaged or broken or not good enough, whatever the case may be, God still thinks of us as having value. And guess what? I do too. And that being said, I was actually reading something not too long ago, and I know you hear me say that all the time. It's because I do a lot of reading, and particularly I like to look at really inspirational things because it helps me to feel motivated. It helps me to feel inspired and uplifted. So when I find these things, these stories, or these parables even, I like to share them with you guys just to help present a better picture of what things really should be like. And so that being said, I do have a story that I wanted to read. And this one, believe it or not, it's actually called Even Though You're Damaged, You Still Have Value. And the story goes like this. A popular speaker started off a seminar by holding up a $20 bill. A crowd of 200 people had gathered to hear him speak. He asked the question, "Who would like to have this $20 bill?" 200 hands went up. He responded, "I am going to give this $20 bill to one of you, but first, let me do this." He crumpled up the bill. He then asked, "Who still wants it?" All 200 hands were still raised. "Well," he replied, "what if I do this?" He dropped the bill on the ground and stomped on it with his shoes. He picked it up and showed it to the crowd. The bill was all crumpled and dirty. Now, who still wants it? Again, all the hands went up. My friends, I have just showed you a very important lesson, he said. No matter what I did to the money, you still wanted it because it did not decrease in value. It was still worth $20. Many times in our lives, life crumples us and grinds us into the dirt. We make bad decisions or deal with poor circumstances. We feel worthless. But no matter what has happened or what will happen, you will never lose your value. You are special, so don't ever forget it. That, my friends, is the end of that story, but certainly not the end of your story. Many times, and I say this because in today's time, we have so many children who go to school, they get beat up, they get bullied, they get picked on for so many different reasons. Maybe you don't have enough money, or your family drives this car, or they don't like your clothes, or you're too skinny, you're too big, whatever the case may be. And it starts to make us feel a certain way. Sometimes words have a way of really making us feel as if we have been beat down and attacked. However, how do you see yourself? What are your thoughts about your value? Can you look in the mirror and actually see where you are valuable? I tell you something, I was having a conversation with my husband not too long ago, and he and I really were honing in on the fact that God is just so awesome. He makes room for our gifts, and there is enough room for everybody in the kingdom to be able to work those gifts, to be able to present them to the world in an effective way. So during those times where we do maybe feel like we're not enough, this is really that time where we must dig deep, recognize, and understand that, again, we are worth much more than the way we see ourselves. So, my friends, on today, I hope that story has blessed your soul. I also hope that you will use this particular episode to help catapult you to the next level. I want you to understand that even if your gifts have not yet been exposed to the world, doesn't mean that your value is not there. It is there. But this is definitely time to do soul searching. Definitely time to ask God how you need to be a walking, living, breathing example of who He is and how He works through you. So, that is all I have for you today. I wish you the very best rest of your week. And also, just another quick reminder, you can absolutely catch all of the Never Thirst Again episodes through several of the platforms that I have already mentioned: Spotify, Podbean, Anchor, and of course, like I said before too, you can even go to the www.neverthirstagain.net website, where you will be able to see everything housed in one section. So, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and God bless.